Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our November 13th, 2018 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including some of the things happening around the Reign of the Superman animated movie, some of the things happening about Supergirl TV series, the upcoming Elseworlds crossover, and so much more. We'll also be turning to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman or Supergirl topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, WGBS Live is all about Superman. And because of that, we want to hear from Superman fans that are watching the show live on Facebook. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, which seems to be happening a lot lately, we'll start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Go to Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be part of the show. Please wait for us to respond. Don't just call, because that kind of messes things up. And if we do get in touch with you, please, please, please turn down your audio, because we're on kind of a delay, and that sounds really weird.
Yes, it does. And for those of you tuning in live via Facebook to watch tonight's show, below or next to that video, we invite you to post your comments and ask questions. Michael and I will keep an eye on those comments to react to them throughout the show, so get involved. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham and Henry Bernstein. Appreciate your support. Well, Mike, what's been happening in your world this week?
Well, unfortunately, we're going to get to it a little later. We lost one of the giants of the industry this week, just yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that's actually kind of bummed me out a little bit. But not to make up for that, because how can you make up for a death? I actually got to write a review for the homepage this week, which was a lot of fun, and I think I shocked you with how fast it got to you.
Yeah, I was very surprised. It was just like, I'm seeing all the tweets about the show, and then all of a sudden there's an email from Michael with the review. It's just like, and it wasn't half baked or rushed. It was just like really great review with all the details, all the cast, all the guest appearances. It was just like the perfect review, because sometimes I have to go fishing for that stuff to make sure that the review is filled up with everything we need that we would like to put in there. But you can always rely on Michael Bailey to give you the whole hog.
Well, it was kind of funny because I worked that day and got home. We had dinner. We watched Supergirl, and then we watched Doctor Who, and then I went in and wrote the review. So it worked out really nicely, actually. That I was able to knock it out that fast.
Cool. We're going to jump into all our topics tonight, and before I do, just want to say a quick hello to our live listeners, Justin, Patrick, John, Tina, and Mark, others listening live. We appreciate you guys tuning in and giving over the next hour to this Superman show. And as we do, we like to start with movie news, and there was an interesting announcement this week that Fathom Events, yes, they're everywhere, Fathom Events, they've teamed with Warner Brothers and DC to invite you to a premiere, a premiere event of Reign of the Superman and The Death of Superman as a double feature, obviously airing the other way around or screening the other way around. So it's a special 2-day event. The action-packed event will include 2 features. The Death of Superman, followed by the brand new release Reign of the Superman, the 2-part film, as you know, is an adaptation of the Death of Superman comic book phenomenon, and this will take place across January 13th and January 14th across the USA. Sadly, not in Australia, not in Canada, not in the UK, not anywhere else that we know of at this point in time, but at participating cinemas or theaters across the USA.
On one hand, I'm really looking forward to this. On the other hand, I go to these things with my wife. She has that thing where she reacts very poorly to seeing things on crooked or hear breaking sounds, and the DC animated films love to do that. To be fair, like the Marvel films love to do it as well. So since I have not seen Reign of the Superman yet, I can't preview and tell her where to look away, but we may actually try to get to this, because it's very rare for Superman stuff like this to come to theaters. The Batman stuff has. just a lot of the animated Batman films that DC Entertainment has put out for home entertainment have had a Fathom events of one kind or another. In fact, just a couple nights ago, Mask of the Phantasm, which is celebrating its 25th year this year, had a Fathom release. So I'm a little torn. It's like, I don't want to put my wife through anything, but on the other hand, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. It is cool indeed. Now, I wonder if they'll show them as one feature or whether they'll go through the whole credits of the Death of Superman and then start the Reign of the Superman as if you're watching, say, the DVDs back to back.
That'd be interesting because it's kind of like, I joked back when they announced that this was going to be two films that I'm pretty sure they're going to have, they're going to release, they released Death, they're releasing Reign, and I bet you anything, like 6 months to a year down the road, they'll put out the ultimate cut where the two movies are kind of smashed together into one long kind of mini-series. So I'm wondering if that's, them kind of experimenting with that. I would think that they would probably show the first one, let everyone get up, get a drink, use the restroom, and then show the next one. But I don't know how. That's a good question about how that's going to work.
Yeah, they probably do, as you say, have a break in between, an intermission, and allow fans to get up, refresh their drinks, or go to the bathroom or whatever. But that would probably make the most sense. But it'd be interesting if they ever do, down the track, release it as a full feature, mega film that runs seamlessly from one to the other. But, you never know what will happen. But you can purchase your tickets through our website. As I said, January 13th at 12:55 p.m. and that's a Sunday, and Monday, January 14th at 8 p.m. local time. So make sure you get to that if you can, and so that'll be an interesting one. I look forward to seeing the results of the ticket sales and what fans think of Reign of the Superman when that takes place. And don't forget that the animated movie is coming to Blu-ray and DVD digital January 15th, and then the same later that month, January 29th, is the Blu-ray combo pack release date.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. The trailer looked good, and I have nothing but love for that story, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
And John in the comments is asking, is there going to be a cartoon short playing before this screening like they're doing with the Superman the movie 40th anniversary? Probably not, because it is an animated movie in itself.
No,
but
what they should do is do Stamp Day for Superman.
Right.
Show the George
short.
Reeves thing, this live action short.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I'd kill to see that on the big screen. That'd be great.
Nice. That would be nice. So that could be something that they do, but it's unlikely with such a lengthy event already taking place that would be preempted or something be before it. So I doubt that would happen. All right, now talking about Superman the movie's 40th anniversary, tomorrow's back issue number 109 is out this week, and it's totally dedicated to the 40th anniversary of Superman the movie, and it features many different articles talking about the movie's effects on comic books, media, and collectibles, with commentary from many of their creators in the article. Kerry Bates is in there, Elliot S. Magan, all these other different commentaries on Superman the movie and the impact that it had on the genre of comic books and TV shows and movies and everything outside of just the movie itself are included in this, what looks like it will be an excellent issue.
Yes, I am friends with some of the people that contributed to it, and we interviewed Michael Urey, who is the editor of the magazine, way back in 2008. But it does not surprise me at all that Back Issue devoted an issue to this, given they're a Bronze Age. That's kind of where they stick to. That's their thing. They've put out several really good Superman issues over in the past. So this one, I have not bought I've not purchased an issue of this in quite some time. But I went ahead and ordered my copy, and that came with the free digital download. So it's loaded up on my iPad, and I can't wait to read it.
Excellent. And yeah, it includes interviews with people like Jack O'Halloran, Ilya Salkind, Aaron Smolinski, Diane Sherry Case, and who all were part of the film. And 10% of the proceeds from this issue's comic shop orders will be donated to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. So if you needed an extra reason to go out and purchase it, that's it right there.
Yeah, and I like the Gary Frank cover. Is that pretty much lifted from Secret Origin?
Yeah, it is. It says that the cover is by Gary Frank from Superman Secret Origin #4, with the rest of the cover designed by Michael Cronenberg.
That makes sense. I thought that looked familiar.
Well, Gary Frank's Superman was very much inspired by or replicating Christopher Reeve's look, so it kind of fits.
Inspired by, sometimes creepily inspired by. Nah, it's just me. I'm going to be positive about it at this point, because we're almost to the 40th anniversary of the film, and everyone's really excited. And I think I've been way too angry about way too many real world things right now, so I'm not going to get upset about the comics I read.
Okay. Now, speaking again of Superman, the movie, the anniversary screening is coming up, and the Superman homepage is currently in the middle of giving away tickets to that screening. So thanks to Fathom Events and Warner Brothers, we're giving away 4 pair of tickets. So that's 8 tickets in total for the 40th anniversary screening of Superman the movie. To enter the contest, you simply need to answer the question on the contest page and fill out the form. And you've only got until Thursday, November 15th at 11:59 p.m. So only a couple of days until the contest is closed, and we will announce the winners on the front page of the website on Friday, November 16th. So if you haven't yet put in an entry, make sure you do, because this is an excellent contest, and we really appreciate Fathom Events allowing us to give away tickets to this really extraordinary event.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. We were talking about it before the show tonight, that I'm calling in sick in 2 weeks to go see this thing.
Yeah.
I bought my tickets last week, and because of work, I could not go over the weekend, so I have to do it on a Tuesday, and basically I'd be getting out of the film right around the time that this started. Now, theoretically, I could have Skype on my phone. And you could get me driving home, but that's illegal in Georgia now, so we can't do that.
Well, hopefully, if it's not too far away, by the time you get home, you'll be able to Skype us and let us know what you thought, and just give us your initial thoughts immediately after the screening. So yeah, while you won't be with us on that particular night, hosting the show with me, I will have another Bailey, I believe, joining me in Neil Bailey, a good old friend of the website, who has promised as of about 20 minutes ago that he will co-host on that night and fill in for no relation, but fill in for Michael Bailey on that last Tuesday of November.
Yeah, you'll only have to change one of the names on the little chyron at the bottom of the screen. That's right. That's pretty convenient for you.
Yeah, very convenient. And it'll be like the old days, because it'll be the last Tuesday of the month, which will mean it'll be the big question and the super secret soundbite. And so that'll harken back to the glory days of Neil Bailey and Steve Eunice doing the radio KAL back in the archaic days of when we actually used to record our bits separately, and then I had to edit them all together. But now we're going live, and it's video.
I was about to say, that was, I remember, because years ago, right around the time of Infinite Crisis, we tried to do the Kryptonian Council, which was us all on AOL Messenger, and you would just take that text and post it to the site. And it was soon after that you started doing not only the video but the podcast, and I have so many vivid memories of listening to that show while at work, like before and after we were closed while we were cleaning up or getting ready for the day. So it'll be cool to see you guys together again like that.
Hopefully you put some clothes on for the video.
I just say, he is a handsome man, so I wouldn't. I have to wear a shirt, or people will think I am a bear. And I don't want to get shot. But no, Neil's much better looking than I am. So.
Oh well, we'll leave that up to the viewers to decide. But nevertheless, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of that particular screening. So if you're interested, as I said, get involved with our contest, but just to be safe, you might want to go and purchase your tickets for the Fathom Events screening of Superman the Movie 40th anniversary on November 25th, Sunday, November 25th, and Tuesday, November 27th. The tickets are available now through our website, so make sure you head to our website and get involved.
Yay!
Okay, and asking in the comments, Anthony's saying, do we know when Season 2 of Krypton will be back on Sci-Fi? No actual release date yet, but March or April is probably likely.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm sure they're going to be announcing something fairly soon because they like to get ahead of that. And I'm kind of hoping that they do what they did last time and have another contest because I want to win some stuff. I'm going for that $1,000 this time.
Yeah, for sure. And Anthony's also asking, will the screening of Superman the movie take place here in Australia? I have contacted Event Cinemas here in Australia to let them know that it's the 40th anniversary and to kind of entice them to take it on because they do a lot of throwback screenings of older films and haven't heard anything back from them yet. So hopefully they get their butts into gear and do something along those lines because you're always seeing old movies like E.T. or Gone with the Wind or The Sound of Music always being shown, on just once every now and then to fill in time slots at local theatres. So I would hope that they would jump on board for a 40th anniversary of Superman the movie. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, it seems like you've had like several screenings of the various films over the years, but for the 40th anniversary, it's almost like you have to at this point.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, that's the movie side of things, and we jump now onto the TV area of the Superman world or the Supergirl world. And as you said, you reviewed for us the latest episode of Supergirl, which was episode 5 of season 4, and it was titled Parasite Lost. It was originally back in the day titled Parallax a couple of months back, but I don't know why that would be the case. But Parasite Lost was, the title of this episode, and dealing with the parasite, this Supergirl version of the parasite, which is pretty much, other than the earwig thing going in and turning him into the parasite, he pretty much had the same powers as the parasite that we've come to know from both comic books and Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah, the interesting difference is they did a couple of times where he would turn people into husks. Mm-hmm. You've never really seen that live action.
No.
Or even animated. And it was a little jarring. It actually upset my wife quite a bit the first time it happened because she wasn't expecting it. Because you do hear bones creaking and then things are kind of on crooked. But it's kind of funny. There was nothing wrong with the parasite. He was the least interesting thing about this episode.
Very true.
In my opinion. He was there to serve as the villain of the week, essentially. It was like all the really good stuff was all the subtle things they did. And the way they did your usual kind of CW superhero show moments, but then there were these flashes of absolute brilliance and social commentary that I'm like, wow, they were talking about some stuff here that if you're annoyed by that, it's going to annoy you no matter what. But if you're not really looking for that, you may not actually see it. But because, just so the way my mind works, there were certain things that they talked about that I'm like, that's pretty heavy to bring into a show like this.
Mm. And I thought once again that Sam Witwer pretty much stole the show. he's really intense in this role, and he's doing such a great job of playing Ben Lockwood. I think he's better off without the mask, because his facial mannerisms are so intense that you kind of lose a bit of that when he is in the mask, but at playing Agent Liberty. So I don't think he really needs it, but he's doing such a great job of being that character that you want to hate, but you also can't help but admire just because of his personal he feels vindicated in what he's doing.
Yeah, it like I wrote in the review, I don't like this guy, but I see why people like this guy and why people listen to his rhetoric. And Sam Witwer, yeah, he's an amazing performer in and of itself. Even when he was Davis Bloom, what was that? Good Lord, like 10 years ago almost, on Smallville, and he was a little younger, he kind of carried that role. And I've seen him on a couple other things, especially the Being Human, the U.S. version of the BBC show Being Human. And he was really good on that. And the thing that I loved most about the way they're writing this character, I still hate that he's Ben Lockwood. I still hate that it's Agent Liberty. I'm not going to give that up. But having said that, they're not making him a two-dimensional character. The conversation he had with James Groenman Olsen. I forgot what I'm talking about here. The conversation they had was nuanced. It was not a straw man argument where Jimmy was right and he was wrong. When he turned around and says, "Oh, you're just going to pull that again?" I'm like, that's clever. Because the smart people that are like that, that's their tact, because it kind of undercuts the other side's argument. It makes the other side seem like they're being, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not pretentious, but basically like they're on their high horse and that they're not listening. So with the twist then that Jimmy basically, James, said Jimmy again, decides to go undercover essentially, it's just like, wow, they took a turn with that made this whole storyline worth it. Because now I don't know what's going to happen. Now, like is Jimmy's obviously, James, whoever, Guardian,
Mr. Olsen.
is obviously going to, Mr. Olsen, sir, he's obviously going to do this. He's not going to turn evil, I don't think.
No.
But just, that puts him into a large amount of danger. And at the end, when Lockwood was kind of having his breakdown and he's talking to James on the phone, I'm like, wow, Sam Witwer is just running away with this season, in my opinion, just in terms of being the person on the screen you're most drawn to.
100%. And what did you make of the Colonel Haley and her role in this episode? It kind of took me a bit by surprise at how positive she was towards Alex, and how the two of them seemed to be really playing off each other really well and almost made a good team, until the very end where she started dissing on John, and Alex went into bat for him, and it was just like, okay, I see what's happening here. She kind of buttered her up a little bit and made her feel like that they were pals, only to kind of slap her in the face and say, hey, I'm the boss here, don't forget that.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is when she complimented Alex at the beginning of the episode, my wife looked at me and said, what's the angle here? And I'm like, yeah, there's an angle here. But what I like about that, and what I'm kind of appreciating, and what I'm hoping actually happens this season, is that this show is very willing to break its format. It's willing to break the toys and break the concepts that it developed. John isn't part of the DEO anymore. Wynn's not part of the DEO anymore. So now you have this other person coming in. One, it leads to more drama because everyone at the DEO got along in the past couple of seasons. Right after it was revealed who John was, like all that tension of people being angry with each other was gone. So now you have that again. But you also set up the idea that maybe the DEO is going to become something else, and that it's going to put Alex and Supergirl and Brainy and John, at odds with it. Which which is just like, I don't know where the show's going. And it's not like last season where I'm like, I don't know where this show's going. Now it's just like, I don't know where it's going, and this is great. This is just fantastic. Like last week, we complained about the episode. I'm standing by it. It was a weak episode because we couldn't have the main star in that episode for the majority of it. But now that we're kind of setting up this, getting further into this storyline, I'm seeing that they're balancing the social commentary with good drama. And I think that's where this show's going to win.
Yeah, it's improving in that area. And I agree with you. Last season, we knew where things were going with the Rain storyline. We kind of knew the arc that it was going. But here, we kept guessing. We're not sure where things are going. We're not sure how it's going to play out. We don't even know yet anything about this Russian doppelganger. So we know that's still to play out. And there's still so much more up their sleeve, including the upcoming crossover.
Yes, and it's just like, I was basically clocking time until the crossover, but after last week, I'm like, no, you've got my attention. Another really neat moment that really doesn't have anything to do with the overall, but the fact that they're kind of positioning John to be the private investigator for aliens, and him putting that fedora on at the end of the episode, I'm like, man, you took him out of the DEO, and you're putting him in such a better position.
Yeah.
For him to be a more... Because it was really neat watching him be kind of this like, person in the alien community that the aliens go to for help. And I really like that idea that he could be that kind of hero for them. Like, we're not going to see him in costume as much anymore, but he's still going to be, a manhunter, essentially.
Yeah.
And, he was a cop in his original incarnation in the comics. And sometimes a private investigator, sometimes a cop, and really just depended on where they wanted to put him at the time. But just, it's like everybody's getting repositioned, but everybody's getting repositioned in the best way possible. And can I say how adorable it is that Brainy got drunk, one, for 5 seconds, and two, that man has absolutely no game when it comes to picking up a potential mate.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Lex Luthor is coming in later this season as well, so there's that to play out.
Yeah, it's just like, and they keep adding cast members. I'm like, how many more people are going to be on this show?
Yeah, well, talking about...
you and I are going to be on the show by the end of the season, Steve. I'm just telling you right now.
Well, talking about upcoming cast members, they've decided to cast more family members of the Now family. Nia's sister and mother, Hannah James, has been cast in the role of Maeve now, and which is Nia's older sister, while Kate Burton has been... just trying to find the images here. There we go. Why Kate Burton has been cast as Nia's mother, Isabel. Now it says here that let's start with Maeve. The sister is described as driven and focused on maintaining the Now family's rich legacy. She and Nia have a strong sisterly bond, although Maeve has always had to work harder to achieve what comes naturally to Nia. Now that sounds to me very much, again, another parallel between Kara and Alex, and now Nia, who they were paralleling with Kara as being very similar in the type of introduction that they had, now also is having an older sister introduced into the show, so very much something else to play off against there. And Isabel, the mother, is a warm, nurturing mother and a local hero in her own right. She's a wise and generous matriarch and has raised her family to be bold and courageous, as well as to love fiercely and openly. I'm guessing that's going to bring the transgender element into it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they're going to be talking about it more in terms of how it affects her family, because that is something that needs to be part of the discussion. If you're going to have this kind of representation, and they have been really good about doing the representation, showing how her family reacts to it is only what I would say is realistic. Maybe that's the bad way to say it, but yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. There's been some comments that I've seen about where are all the male characters. I know this is a Supergirl show, but people are saying, why doesn't she have a father? Like, why is it always just sisters and mothers?
Yeah, because, you don't have, 15 other shows on the CW that have, a majority male cast. Anytime... I think there are people of goodwill that have that reaction, and that's fine. I mean, I get where they're coming from, but this is a show that has that's female centric. Mm-hmm. There have been plenty of shows in the history of television, so we're going back to the 1940s at this point, that have had a majority male cast that had a patriarchal structure to
mm-hmm.
it. We saw a dad this year. He was a jerk. And a bigot. So maybe not seeing another one of those, just let the show be the show. Don't try to stuff this whataboutism that people have to popular culture just bugs me to no end. Like, if that's your reaction is, well, where are the guys? It's just like, where have you been? What is this the only television show you have ever watched in your entire life? Or have you seen 30 years of shows where, let's go back to the Flash TV series from the 90s. He had a father and mother, and his relationship with his father was far more important than his relationship with his mother. So let's just let this show be this show.
Yeah, 100%. No problem.
I'll get off my high horse now.
No, all good. So that's an interesting development there with the Nal family being introduced. Obviously, going to expand on the story of Nia, and obviously her. And these are recurring roles or guest stars, so they will have a couple of episodes that they'll be appearing in, and especially in the case of Kate Burton, a very familiar face that people have seen a number of TV shows, including more recently Scandal.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the only television I watch. So I don't everyone's just like, who do you think would make a good, insert character name here? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know who's acting anymore.
Fair enough.
So,
all right, well, let's jump back to other things that had happened this week, and we got the promo trailer for the upcoming episode of Supergirl, episode 6, season 4, titled Call to Action. Let's take a look at that promo right now. Call to action. Here it is.
Agent Liberty is still out there, and the rhetoric of hate is growing.
Violence is only going to get worse. We're going to attack.
And we don't have much time.
Together we will rise.
Get out of here, you filthy roaches!
And we will overcome.
Supergirl, all new this Sunday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
So there you have it. That's the upcoming promo for this week's episode. And very much you can see it's like a witch hunt. Very similar to the KKK, if you like, if you want to kind of draw that parallel, them hunting down people that they didn't like to bring them out in the open and deal out some punishment.
And that's why the mask that Agent Liberty wears, we were talking a couple of weeks ago, why was he giving a speech in the mask? And now that's kind of more understandable, that it gives people the ability to just put that on, and they're not showing their real faces. They're part of a movement. They're part of they're all one person essentially fighting for the same cause. And that's scary. That really is. It really is kind of like the KKK with the hoods.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it looks like an interesting episode, and that will air on Sunday night in the US and here Monday night in Australia. So, as well this week, the CW released this image showing Superman and Lois Lane for the upcoming Elseworlds crossover. Looks like the pair are in the Fortress of Solitude, with the garment that Lois is wearing very much kind of, I guess, a tribute to Margot Kidder and Superman the movie, but or maybe Superman 2. But personally, I love the look of the photo. I thought it was a great image, and I heard a lot of snarky remarks, but that's the internet for you.
Yeah, I saw like somebody put it next to a picture of Superman and Lois from BVS. It's like when you have your Superman and Lois, but you devolve, and I'm like, oh, well, I said something that I can't repeat here, because it was yeah. I get a little more angry these days. No, this is fantastic, and I'm gonna say this, because I'm the guy that liked Henry Cavill and Amy Adams as Superman and Lois, and it was an interesting representation of that relationship. This is just another one. Everyone, like I keep saying, calm down. It's gonna be okay. Your Superman still exists. Let me have this. Okay? This, like, every picture I've seen of Superman and Lois from this crossover has just made me so happy. And I just have one question about this picture, and it's a practical one. Is she really that short, or do they have him standing on something to make him look taller?
A good question. That's movie magic for you. I'm sure I've seen the two of them standing side by side in that shot that Melissa Benoist shared with them in the Smallville along the fence, and he does seem to tower over both of them, but probably not to that extent. There probably are lifts in the boots to some degree, and she may be barefoot in this scene, in this photo. But I've seen comments about her age, saying that, is that his mother or his wife or his girlfriend, or it's like, really? And people talking about the fact that the actress is 40 and he's in his 30s, and it's just like, people, this is television. She looks fantastic to me, and the pairing of them, they look great together.
Y'all, how old was Amy Adams in BVS?
Same, in her 40s.
I mean, let's... One, this is an older Superman, so that's perfectly understandable. And two, how insulting is it that an actor, like, if it was an actor who was in his 40s, everyone would be like, oh, look how ruggedly handsome he is.
Yes.
But if it's a woman, no, we can't do that. We gotta mention that she looks like a mom or something. And it's just like, really? I mean, let's be real here. Annette O'Toole was the first Martha Kent that I ever thought I shouldn't be thinking about Martha Kent like that. So, just because they're older doesn't mean it's bad. This, it's obviously in the Fortress, which is great. She's wearing the kind of, gown or whatever, which makes me think that we're going to be seeing a couple different sides of their relationship, which I'm kind of looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's just going to, at the end of the day, it's just going to make me want, a series, but I'll just have to deal with that when it happens.
Now, a couple of Virginia, thank you. She's told us that Elizabeth Tulloch, who plays Lois Lane, is 5'6". Tyler Hoechlin is 6 foot, and Melissa is 5'8".
Okay, so he's got like 6 inches on her. That makes sense. Okay, and that wasn't me trying to make fun of Tyler Hoechlin. It's just I just keep going back to the somersaults they did with him and Jimmy. Yeah. Since Macabre Brooks is like 6'4".
Yes, so. Exactly. So it looks fantastic, and they will both appear in the upcoming 3-night Elseworlds crossover event, which will take place December 9th, 10th, and 11th. And speaking of which, the CW released a couple of initial promo videos for this Elseworlds crossover. We're going to play both of them right now for you. Neither of them feature Supergirl or Superman or Lois Lane. They're both kind of playing on the twist that what happened with Barry Allen becoming the Arrow and what's his name that plays the Arrow?
Steve Amell.
Yeah, but his character?
Oliver Queen.
Oliver Queen. I just had a blank moment then. Oliver Queen becoming the Flash. So let's check out those two videos right now. This is part 1.
Morning.
pancakes are perfect this time. Babe? Are you okay? What's wrong? I love you, Barry Allen.
What? Dang. What are you doing here? I'm kicking your butt. Come on, make it up. I'm the Green Arrow. Yeah, I'll say.
So there you have it, those two videos back to back there. We're obviously being an Elseworlds crossover. There's something happening, some kind of a universe shift where they're swapping bodies.
Well, you have the monitor, you have different realities, and you have a book. I'm thinking that's all tied together.
And they're not just... Oliver isn't just becoming the Flash and Barry becoming Green Arrow. They're actually in each other's... They are still Barry and Oliver, but they've just... The bodies have swapped.
Barry is Oliver and Oliver is Barry now. But they remember being the other.
Yes.
So that's an interesting way to play it.
Yeah, so let's hope that we get some further Elseworlds promos where we see Superman, Supergirl and Lois, so that the Supergirl fans can also fit into what's happening there. So looking forward to that.
Gonna be great.
Alright, well, we're going to take a quick break. It's later in the show than usual, but we're going to take a quick break and then come back on the flip side to talk about why Michael is wearing a Marvel t-shirt. We'll be back right after these messages. If I press the right button.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Superman movie is brought to you by Canon, the world's leading camera manufacturer.
Quick, it's happy.
Canavision 8 camcorders.
Hey, I thought you were Superman, huh?
Hey, I am.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
Well, that's an adorable. Yeah. I wonder if he put another kid in like a Nuclear Man outfit and had had the two kids like go at it.
Definitely something worth filming there. All right, but on a serious note, you are wearing a Marvel t-shirt, and that's in tribute to Stan Lee, who passed away yesterday, aged 95. The man was a comic book genius, creating characters such as Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Hulk, and the X-Men, to name a few. And as I said, he passed away at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center yesterday, aged 95.
Yeah, and Superman's always my favorite, but when I was a kid, it was Superman, Batman, and the Hulk. And because of that, and, when you would watch the animated stuff that was around, especially like the Incredible Hulk television, not the Incredible Hulk television series, the animated series that was on Saturday mornings, it was introduced by Stan Lee. So you always knew of this guy, and if you bought a Marvel comic, it always had like a little saga cell, and then it would say Stan Lee Presents. And, it's been fashionable over the past 10 years, actually since the 80s really, but since the internet's really dug into it, to kind of get into the whole who created what, who took more credit. But to me, you don't have a comic book culture without this man. And you can argue he took more credit than he deserved. You could argue that he didn't really create as much as he said he created, or people say he created. But the fact of the matter is he was the one going out to college campuses in the 60s when comics were considered trash. He was the one going to Hollywood and really trying to get his properties on the screen. And let's face it, we don't have the comic book culture of the past 10 years without Iron Man and those films. And it hurts to say as a DC fan, because you want DC to be leading the way. But if you look at the sheer number of comic book films in the past 20 years, Marvel's outstripping DC by like 5-1 almost. So, it really bummed me out. I was telling a friend, I go, this isn't Adam West bad, but it's close. I mean, it's kind of a hit because we kind of knew it was coming. He was 95 and he managed to outlive a lot of his contemporaries, but he had some health issues, and but it doesn't really make it better that, knowing that didn't make it happen,
Yeah, exactly. And he was pretty much made a cameo in every one of those Marvel films that you've just mentioned. Mm-hmm. But why are we talking about him on a Superman show? Well, he not only obviously inspired and helped increase the comic book industry, which helps DC and Marvel both, but he did write he collaborated with DC Comics on a Imagine If Stan Lee created series in which Stan was allowed to reimagine characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and basically, reimagine them from the beginning, from birth. He gave them the freedom to literally start their lives over and see what he would do with those characters. And there we have the images of Just Imagine Stan Lee's Superman issues that I didn't necessarily enjoy so much, but it was an interesting, fresh take on his perspective on this particular character.
Yeah, those were an interesting experiment that I was kind of like you. I really didn't care for it, but you had Stan Lee and John Buscema working together, so that in and of itself was worth the price of admission.
Yeah, so that was what he collaborated with DC Comics to create his version of Superman back in the year 2000. So that was an interesting experiment, and he also did things for Wonder Woman, Batman, and Justice League as well, and those comics are available out there and also in a trade paperback form. They're out there if you're interested in looking them up. So that was Stan Lee, as I said, passed away yesterday, aged 95, and our condolences to his family and friends.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, let's look at the comic book side of things. And this past week, we had the release of Adventures of the Super Sons #4 come out. Lost Boys. It's almost a kind of a story that ventured off away from the main story a little bit, from where things have been going with the story so far. And I guess it was more of a Halloween type issue, in taking advantage of the time of year that it was written on, to get the boys inside this haunted house type of situation.
Yeah. I haven't read it. I had a busy weekend, and I had the book in front of me, and it just fell by the wayside.
No, that's fair enough.
I mean, obviously I'll be reading Superman this week, but Yeah.
Well, our reviewer Keith Sumro gave this issue a 5 out of 5, saying the best thing about this book is that it caters to all ages. He says, I love that I can give a copy of this book to my young nephew and also my best friend of 22 years, and they both can enjoy it for what it is, adventures of two sons of the world's finest. And I think that's a great tribute to the book, because what Peter J. Tomasi has been doing with the Super Sons in this 12-issue maxi series is something for all ages. It's really a great story.
Yeah, DC really, has stepped it up with having books for all ages at this point, where there was a point, especially 10 years ago, where the majority of their output was just dark. There were some bits of fun. I remember talking to one of the creators on the Power Girl series that came out like 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And he was telling me that they had to fight to keep the book kind of fun at that time. And now it seems like, for whatever reason, probably just survival at this point, that DC Entertainment's like, we can have a black label, but, let's also put out some titles that appeal to a different demographic. And you're casting a wider net. And one of two things is going to happen. Either the younger readers you grab now are going to stick around later in life and you can get them to read the other stuff, or you're going to have people reading maybe a mature book and it's just like, well, I want something a little different, and they have an option at that point.
And speaking of the black label, DC Comics revealed this week that they're expanding the 2019 slate of black label imprints, including things like Watchmen, All-Star Superman, Kingdom Come, Superman Red Sun, DC The New Frontier. They'll all be available under the DC Black Label line.
Yeah, DC needed an excuse to put out another edition of all those books. It's just basically going to be the same cover. It's just going to have the Black Label trade dress, I'm assuming. So it's just I'm kind of curious about that, because there have been rumblings, and these are all the on the kind of gossip sites at this point. There have been rumblings that the new president of DC Entertainment, whose name escapes me, I know Diane Nelson was the previous one, that the rumor is that she had a serious problem with the first issue of Batman Damned, and didn't quite like that. And Dan DiDio and Jim Lee kind of gave an interview where they were talking how the properties need to kind of reflect, basically have a streamlined identity across the board. And having a certain part of Batman's anatomy, even in shading, apparently was the bridge too far. So it could be that these weren't originally going to be part of the Black Label line, but once that happened, they're like, well, this will keep it alive because we'll put the label on known properties like All-Star Superman. And I really don't consider All-Star Superman to be in the same vein as Dark Knight Returns. I think they have very different, Justin in the chat says the Johnny Walker Black Label. That's really funny. But no, it just feels like these are the safe bets. So these will cover anything that they do that's maybe a little more experimental. But I could be completely wrong about that.
Yeah, well, it says here the recently launched publishing line dedicated to giving premier writers and artists the ability to tell unique, standalone stories set outside DC continuity will release several iconic comic book collections featuring the most famous DC heroes from the archives beginning this December through the end of 2019, which pretty much sounds like a relabeling of Elseworlds.
Yeah, and Anthony in the chat says that the Batman story was an Elseworlds-like one, so we didn't get the huge fuss that was made, and that's fair. That is also completely true. It isn't a tried and true Batman story, but here's the thing. This is going to make the news. This is going to be put out to a more mainstream press. And even though it is 2018, and even though we have had, it's been 30 years since Dark Knight Returns, and it's been heck, 10 years since Dark Knight, which was a much darker take on Batman, put out to a mainstream audience, I think the general perception of this character is still more family friendly. So it might, and DC's part of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is a corporation, and they can get scared really easy.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it. That's the upcoming Black Label imprint, including some of the classic tales that we've just mentioned. Now, this week we have a series, or we actually have two comic books for Superman fans that they'll want to get onto, and Michael was just talking about one of them. But first up, we have Supergirl number 24 out this week, and it is available in a variant cover with her and Krypto in a very space cafe type situation. We also have the one you mentioned, Superman number 5, Kryptonian Alliance, Superman teaming up with General Zod to beat Rogol Zar, and that is also available in this terrific tribute variant cover. Back in the day, there was one where Superman's getting hit by lightning and it said it tickles, and this one says it still tickles.
That is just gorgeous.
So,
man, Adam Hughes can do no wrong.
Yeah, he's doing a great job with these variant covers. So we look forward to those two comic books out this week for Superman and Supergirl fans. November 14th, those comics will be released. So that's the week coming up. All right, now also coming up, Walmart and DC Comics are getting together once more for an exclusive holiday-themed giant comic book. They've announced that they're adding this DC's World's Greatest Superheroes holiday special to the lineup, and it will be heading to participating Walmart stores in the US today and should reach stores by Sunday. So that was yesterday. So Sunday, actually, it should be in stores now. I think this was earlier in the week that I posted this. So, yeah, arriving in stores Sunday, November 11th. So check out your participating Walmart store to see if this particular comic book, and I'll pop up the image for you right now, is appearing in your Walmart store right just in time for the holiday season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I picked up the Halloween one. I still didn't get a chance to really read it, but I am super stoked for a Christmas with the superheroes. Basically, mm-hmm. I really like that. I love that cover too. Christmas specials always appeal to me.
Well, that is pretty much it for tonight's show. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live, and all those in the Facebook comments for participating live with us and watching live with us tonight. We appreciate your input, and a big thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our Facebook page if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But we will be back next week on November 20th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. And don't forget, a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham and Henry Bernstein. And if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, you can do so for as little as $3. Just head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. We'll be back next week, as I said. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.